Hi. If you're here, welcome. Could you say something in the chat so I can make sure that this is working properly? Just say hi. Okay. Hi, everyone. Just making sure that this is working okay. Okay. Q&A session. What does that mean? Okay. Hi. How are you? I'm going to remove that. My hermit crabs are making noise. We just moved them down to my office. So this is my new office here. So I just want to wait for more people to get here. And then I'll set a goal. And then I'll take you in there if I can. Like if I can set it up also on my phone. That way I could show you the my sifters and things. So I know there are some people here. So could you just say hi down below or give me a symbol or something? Just so I know people are here. Like I'll send something. There you go. Hi, welcome. Welcome. Hi, Corey. Welcome in. How are you? Yeah, people call me the worm lady. Sometimes they call me the crazy worm lady. How are you all doing? So if you think of any questions as we go on, just, put them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. The last time I had a live, 2 lives ago, I had a lot of questions just flooding the thing, and I was able to answer it after because I couldn't keep up with the chat. So hopefully we'll be able to. There was something there that I could slow it down a little bit. So hopefully I'll be able to just answer any questions you all might have. But I'm doing well, and it's finally warm here in southern Indiana. But as usual, today we have storms, and so I'm hoping we don't lose power. But then again, the weather here is very unpredictable, so you don't know. So let me see if I could also set this up on my phone. That way I could take you with me. I'm not sure if it works. Yeah, there we are. Okay. No, it's not meant for kids. So let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I got live on both spots here, which is weird because it shows one thing here and another thing here. So I don't know. But I want to take you in there and just show you my new sifter and some of my new stuff. Let's see. Boy, this YouTube has updated all the settings here. I could definitely do different things. Hi. So I'm going to take you in there and we're going to go look at some of the worms and things. So I'm going to close this one out. And I'm going to stay here so I could take you with me. There. I hope you can hear me. Okay. All right. So let's go in here. I can usually identify them from their behavior. You know, they're they're just not a good thing. And then they slither away, and that I hate. That's the part that just grosses me out. The slithering away is like, ooh, I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, I'm gonna hop on the computer here. So I am back over here. So my wormery is over here, and then my office is here, and I just moved in over here not too long ago, and I'm still like unloading and organizing and stuff. So, you know, not bad. Let's see. All right, there we are. Hi from Florida. Yes, I'm reading the chat now. Hi. Can you guys hear me? Let me turn this one off. Yes. Yeah, because I had the phone on, and because I wanted to show you the sifters, because this is my laptop and I can't like physically take it. Hi from Brazil. Hi. How are you? Hello. Hi, Bob. Yeah, the weather's a little weird here. So this and okay, I'm not muted. So let's see. Let's start a little goal. 15 minutes. Q&A. All right. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you said you can hear me. So, I've raised the European night crawlers, the African night crawlers, the Louisiana swamp worms. I have had blue worms, but this is talking 15 years ago. I didn't like them, so I got rid of them. Euros, red wigglers. I've never raised Canadian night crawlers because you need refrigeration for them, and I just don't have the space for it, and so I don't bother. You know, even European night crawlers, some people put them in their fridge. You don't have to. They you see them in there, they do just fine. So yeah, that's about it. I have seen those Alabama jumpers in the garden, and I don't like them. They're too slithery. They run away like snakes. I don't know. But you know, I've been doing this a long time, and people ask me, "Will you ever stop?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. You know, I don't know. If I ever move out of the country, I can't take them with me." So I get questions about shipping to the Middle East. I cannot ship to the Middle East. It is against the law for me to ship worms outside of the United States. I don't even ship castings overseas because you never know. A cocoon, the fines are into the tens and $15,000, and that's something that I'm not going to take a chance. I just started, but people I bought worms from didn't have Senior Andrea with the blues. They're a pain. Yes, they are a pain. But if your goal is to use them for composting and not raise them to sell as something other than a blue worm, then they'll work fine. They compost great. There are some people that love them. They do. And I think they like the challenge. But if you're going to raise them to sell them, say that they're blue worms. Don't say that they're pure red wigglers and then people get blue worms, because that's dishonest. And a lot of people do that. And, it gets under my skin like you will not believe. And I've told some worm farmers, hey, you shouldn't do that. And they don't give a rip. They're like, do you, I'll do me. I'm like, okay. So yeah, it's happened. So there's some out there that I just won't do business with because of that. Because I just can't do that. If I ever get blue worms in here, and I sell them, I'm gonna put in my thing, hey, there's blue worms. So, but luckily it hasn't happened. Yeah, they'll compost a lot for you. They'll also take over your bin. So if you order pure red wigglers from someone and you get blue worms, and you do have some more red wigglers in there, eventually the red wigglers are they're gonna die out. The blue worm will take over your bin. They take over everything because they breed like crazy. So that's just something that you have to realize that can happen. And again, if you're just using them for composting and their castings and you don't care, then, the blue worm out in the winter, their cocoons turn to mush. They don't survive. They don't survive the cold. Yeah, you won't have any out there. Depends on your winter. We have ice storms here in the winter. We have hard winters. Not as hard as when I lived in New Jersey. But in New Jersey, we'd get more blizzards. Here, we get ice storms to where there's like a 1/4 inch ice on every surface out there, the trees, the branches, like everything. And definitely the blue worm cocoon, the blue worm itself will not survive out there. Even the African night crawlers here in the winter, and inside my house, they struggle. But I do everything I can to keep them going. You don't have the 4 seasons. Where do you live? Now, I started worm farming in Texas, and it was hot there. And Brazil, okay, I understand that. Yeah, here where I live in the state of Indiana, we have the 4 seasons. And in Texas, we didn't. We had usually hot all the time, and the worms did fine. But then again, I didn't have blue worms. I bought them from a farmer down there, and he passed away years ago. And, those were the biggest red wigglers I have ever seen. And he would feed them manure. But he didn't just take manure and put it in the worm bin. He had, I think it was cows and horses because they had ranches. And he would pre-compost the manure. Like he'd let it age for like a year. And he'd rotate it out. And then the oldest stuff is what he would use to feed the worms. And I'm telling you, those were the biggest red wigglers I have ever seen. I have never seen them that big again. And even I haven't raised them that big, and I have tried. So sometimes, well, my wormery here is indoors and it is climate controlled. But yeah, hi. But in the winter, the heater does struggle. So it might hit 50 down here. But yeah, there is a space heater I use, like one of those oil ones that's like this, but I never leave it alone. And honestly, I rarely use it because I'm afraid of the thing. So, the red wigglers do fine. The Louisiana swamp worms do fine. Some people call them swampers. And the red wigglers do fine, the Euros do fine, but the African night crawlers, sometimes we're on the struggle bus with them. So, the African night crawlers are beautiful worms. They will compost things for you, but they're more easily raised in buckets and in a warm climate. They thrive on the heat. 6 to 8 months of the year. Yeah. You've had blue worms since 2020, and they do not take over my bins. Good. I'm glad they don't. The winter in Michigan. Yeah, you have winters too. That's good that they coexist. Maybe it's your bedding. Maybe it's you just have the ideal environment for them and they like it. Michigan, yeah, I know you have winters too. Yeah, it was 2 winters ago where I lost I guess about 50% of my African night crawlers. It was sad. It was a sad moment for me. But, I couldn't help it. I did everything I could. And the tub I have in there, the big one, I am going to keep it for the winter. But what I do is after I take the castings out for the last time, like in the autumn, I put their bedding in there, like fresh bedding, but I put it very deep to try to get them to have more layer, and hopefully that will keep them warm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I've lost worms like entire tubs. Like one year I set up my African night crawlers exact same way. I had about 6 tubs, like those giant things. I've had several of them. Exact same way. And one of the tubs went anaerobic, and I don't know why. And the smell, the smell was horrible. I had to get them out of there. I had to rescue it. All that anaerobic bedding, the rotten bedding, had to be put in plastic bags. I had to throw it out. I had to leave the room to take some deep breaths and go back in because I was gagging. It was so bad. Yes, the smell was horrible. I believe I have a video of it because anytime any of these things happen to me, I try to film it so you guys could do it with me and so you can learn from my mistakes. And trust me, I've created quite a few disasters in there. But that's how you learn, and that's just how you learn. So yeah, African night crawlers are great for fishing, but if you're going to fish with them in cold water, the minute they hit the cold water, they're going to die. The best fishing worm that I have seen is the European nightcrawler. They tolerate the cold water well. And the Louisiana swamp worm, when it goes underwater, it releases an odor. And not an odor out here like in your bin. It's an odor that only fish can smell, and that attracts them. So I think people fish more with them in lakes and rivers because they're a little worm. So yeah. Yeah, you can sell them in containers. The way I keep them alive is I mix them with peat moss. But a trick that I learned from another farmer it was about 15 years ago, I guess, is anytime I mix a worm species with peat moss to ship, I always take a little bit of their original bedding, the bedding from their bin, and I mix it in there. I think the microbes in that bedding keeps them alive because you're not shipping them in a sterile environment 100%. They have that little bit. So I only put holes in the box that I ship them in, like the priority mailbox, but you've seen me pack worms in the little 32-ounce container that's like this. So when I seal it, it has 2 little holes at the top. So I don't add extra holes to their container, and they do fine. But I do poke holes at the outside of the box. I don't like to ship worms in the summer. The heat of the summer just is hard on them. They can die. They can melt. Yeah, I have ordered worms in the summer and I have literally received them melted, and it's horrible and the smell is horrible. So I think the best time to ship worms is through the autumn, a little bit of the winter, not African night crawlers through the winter, and then early spring to early summer. Once we hit those temperatures that are in July and August here, that are in the high 80s, high 90s, I hold back. I've taken them off the market because I'm not doing it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's rough on them. And there are people that will ship worms all year because they just want to make the money. They don't care. If they arrive great, are alive, great. If not, they'll just refund you or they'll ship you another one. They don't care. To me, it's a lot of trouble to go through all that and then having to message a customer and say, "Hey, I'm sorry that happened." So I just use the midsummer heat as my time to maybe go on vacation or go. I go Bigfoot hunting, and I take the time to reset and reorganize and clean and just get ready for the autumn. So they will only survive the way for so long. Yeah, too long they will die. Yeah. Petco marks them down to get rid of them. Oh, I'm sure. um, you know what happened to me one time? I shipped worms and they never arrived. So I reshipped again and the person got them. And then I swear this was incredible. 2 months later, the mail lady says, V, you have a package. And I'm like, oh, I didn't order anything, but okay. Sometimes I have viewers on my channel send me gifts. I have gotten gifts. So I thought maybe someone sent me something. It was the worms that disappeared. 2 months they arrived, and I'm like, there is no way. That some, not all of them, there was like a handful, like 5 or 6 of them that were still alive. And I think it was because I put a little bit of their original bedding in with the peat moss and shipped them. I think that's what kept them alive. Yeah. Everything else was bone dry. And I might have filmed that. I probably did. I try to film everything I can. So yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow. Pre-compost coconut coir, wood dust and some greens because I'm pre-composting in small quantity. Probably. But anytime you pre-compost something, you need to keep it moist. If you don't keep it moist, it's not going to do anything. Plus, if you really want to heat up a bin, I have put rice on the surface. I don't mix it in, only on the surface, and it heats up a bin like that. I made that mistake one time mixing it in one of my towers. It was insane how hot that tower got. Oh yeah. Are you sure they were red wigglers? Once they're gone past their desired date, they will mark them down for a quick sale. Sure. Jane said 18 to 20 gallons. 18 to 20 gallons, what? I looked at them for sure, reds. That's good. I'm surprised they even had them. Buying them in Petco or PetSmart like that, and if you're sure that's what they are, it's a cheap way to start a worm bin if you're patient, because if you set them up and the bedding is ideal, they'll multiply eventually for you. But you need to have patience. But if you want worms in large quantity, it's cheaper than buying them from the pound from a worm farmer, because you'll get at least a pound of red wigglers has a minimum of 1,000 worms. So imagine buying little containers to add up to 1,000. You're going to pay a lot more money. But if you want to start small, get one of those cups, put it in your bin, and just be patient and wait. And it's a good way to do videos, Glacier. That way people could follow along with you. You could create a playlist of, you could call it like the baby bin or, beginner or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a good little number to start with. So I've gotten questions about, people have asked me how much money I make on YouTube. And I don't gatekeep around here. So I will tell you, YouTube pays me every month. It's once a month on the 20th, around there. I'll make anything between $120 and 160, maybe somewhere in there, once a month. So People think they're going to go on YouTube and just become rich and like Mr. Beast, no. It takes a lot of work, and you get paid by views and the ads that they run. So all those ads you see on my videos, I don't put them there. YouTube does. It's like automatic, so I can't help it. Yeah. Yeah, the money I make on my channel, I just put it back into the wormery because I still need to buy supplies for them. My worm chow, some people make worm chow and it's only corn. And I don't like that. I will never make my worm chow with only corn because think about it. There's no nutrients. There's not a complete nutrient in that. And the way I've kept my worms large and healthy is because my worm chow has different things in it, especially like beetroot. I add beetroot. I buy beetroot in pellets and I grind it up, and I buy wheat, and there's so many things I add, and azomite minerals, and calcium. So these are things that you just, when you want healthier worms, you have to put the stuff into it. If you're just going to eat corn, then worms start dying off because they have no nutrients, and then you wonder why. And I feed them my kitchen scraps. You've seen me do that. So I don't know. I mean, I know corn is cheap, and that's probably why they do it. But I think it's cheaper in the long run to have healthier worms than have them die and had to rebuy them. So, and then they'll produce a lot of babies for you. So, yeah, your first batch had done right. So what happens when I've made worm chow so many different ways, and I have videos of my recipe. I try it, and if I notice that it's not a big hit, then I tweak it for the next time. I add something different, and one thing they love is worms have a sweet tooth, and they love dry molasses. Dry molasses mixed into that worm chow is they love it. Um, the biggest secret you do, I don't keep my secret. I have a video of how I make it. And I've had the recipe on my website before, and I've sold it as like a digital download for like $4 or something. And people have bought it, but I just give it out. And sometimes when I make a huge amount, I might sell it because some people just don't want to put all the money into buying all the ingredients that I actually add. So it's I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that won't tell you exactly what they put in it. Come on, and that's okay. If they don't want to share, that's okay. I don't gatekeep over here. When I started YouTube, I always said I'm going to teach people what I do, how I do it, and people have always supported me anyway. I've never had a problem. So, but I have had some people copy me, copy my methods. I've had one person copy like my sentences, like everything I say. Yeah. So, but I take it as a compliment. And as long as they don't steal the stuff that like I'm trying to sell or is part of my business, then whatever. They want to dye their hair black, let them dye their hair black. I don't, there's a lot of weird people out there. So I've been on this platform a long time, and I've been doing this a long time. So I've just about seen everything. Yeah, I love Jane's videos. She's so funny. I remember when I know it is creepy, but she just, I don't know. That lady just, I don't know. But Jane, I love Jane's videos. I started watching Jane from the beginning when she first started. I was there for like the first couple of videos, and I saw her start, and all the different things that she's done, and I just love her channel. So I also go live on TikTok a lot. I show my worms, I work with my worms, and I show my hermit crabs. And believe it or not, I have a bigger following on TikTok than I do on YouTube, and I don't know why. I think People over there just love all the weird stuff, and worm farming seems to be like something weird, so yeah. Yeah, use my ideas, use Jane's ideas, and then incorporate them into your own and just make your own thing and have your own personality, and people will like it. And don't be afraid to film, and if you make a mistake, tell people, hey, look, I really messed this up, and people will appreciate your honesty, believe me. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. I'm glad she helped you with your pre-composting stuff. Yeah. You don't do TikTok? Oh, it's so much fun. I love TikTok. I watch a lot of funny videos. Funny. There's also a lot of gardening things, and there is a worm farmer there that I watch regularly. His name's Connor. I think he goes live like every morning sifting. He uses the same machine I do, and he sifts and sifts. And um, what he's doing is he's selling the castings, but he takes the money and he puts it into the school system, the public school system, because he said that when he was a child, there were days that he didn't have money for lunch and he couldn't eat, and the school wouldn't give him lunch. So, and he said that he remembers sitting there being hungry. So now he takes his money from his castings and he goes and puts it in kids' accounts at the school so that a kid never has to feel the way he did. That I think that is amazing. And he does the worms just like I do, and but if you ever go on TikTok and just message me and I'll give you his name. I know his name's Connor. I don't remember his page name, even though I watch him all the time. Montana's actually trying to ban TikTok. Really? Aw. TikTok's a lot of fun. I think my daughter tried to message me here. Let me text her. I'm live on YouTube. I have 4 kids, and they're all grown. They're adults. They've moved out. So my husband and I are empty nesters. And, it's just me, him, the hermit crabs are my 2 little dogs, and all the worms. Yeah, the cocoons, you have a choice. You can either add them to your gardens, or you can put them in the smaller tubs that I have on the wall, and you can raise cocoons. But there's a hi from New Zealand. How are you? I've always wanted to visit New Zealand. But there's a way that yeah, she sifts them out. Well, that's good that she sells them. I never have like the quantity that I want to be able to sell them. Plus, I put them in the giant tubs and I repurpose them. But there's a way that you can raise cocoons with heat mats and certain temperatures and things. And at the end of this year, close to the end of this year, I'm going to switch platforms on my website from Wix to Shopify, because that Wix is like driving me crazy. It's had a lot of issues, and I don't know. So once I do that and I create the website myself, I'm going to create a course, and I'm going to create this course, and I'm going to try to sell it on my website. And I'm going to show everything from the how I set up the bins for the cocoons, how I use the heat mats to get them to hatch, what is the amount I put in, just all my behind the scenes secrets that I'm going to sell in the course. I just think it'll help people learn, and it'll be, hopefully profitable for me. I mean, might as well. I have the knowledge. I might as well put it out there. She sifts some out and she sells them. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad she does that. I did that a million years ago. I don't do that anymore. It's a lot of work. Yeah, multiplying the worms is one of the biggest challenges. You have to figure out how to do it. And the thing is, nobody taught me 100%. I learned by trial and error. Through the years, I reached out to a lot of commercial worm farmers, like how do you do this? How do you do that? And they wouldn't help me. No one would answer my question. No one wanted to help me. So I'm like, well, the hell with this. I'm gonna figure it out. And I did. And it's taken me a while. And when I finally figured it out and I was successful, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So, but nobody helped me. I did it on my own. It took a bit, but I did it. But that's how you learn. That's how you learn. I know a worm farmer right now, and I don't think he has them in stock. He's more of a like a drop shipper, and he has a course, but it's like 300 and something dollars or something. I'm not going to sell my course for that much. I'm not. And I'm going to include videos in mine, video like demonstrating, showing like everything. So, but that's going to take a bit to create because, I got to film it and then edit it and it'll be okay. When it comes out, I think people will really like it. So, yeah. Hey, we got to make a living, right? Somehow. So, well, guys, let's see. I have been on here for an hour. I am going to end this. I will not do a video tomorrow, but I might do a shorts video, like one of the shorts. I haven't done one of those in a while. And then video production will be back, next week. Take out some cocoons, main community, and put them in my own bin. I also like set up breeder bins and breeder size adults. Yeah. Yes, higher moisture. But remember, when you have higher moisture, try to fluff the bin occasionally because you don't want it compacting down and going anaerobic. But at the same time, when you're trying to get them to give you a lot of cocoons, don't fluff them every day. Just do it once in a while. But keep an eye on that moisture. Yeah, your bin should be about 80% moisture. And when I wet my bins, I never do it with cold water. I always do it with room temperature water. And I also use mosquito dunk water, because that's how I prevent flying insects in my wormery. And yeah, that's a whole nother subject. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. It was my pleasure. Make your main higher, because I'm trying to get it back to, yeah, it is. So when you over wet a bin, the way to get the moisture down is to add more dry bedding, because it will absorb all that extra moisture. So, yeah, or you can separate to another bin and I've had the entire wall full and it's been wild, like it has. Yeah. Yeah, let the water overnight. The thing is, with my house, I have a special water system built into my house, and I also have reverse osmosis water. So my worms have the purest water that we can have. Plus, when I fill up my watering tank, I leave the lid open so it can air out overnight. But it's just very pure water. But anyway, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And take care. And I will see you all next time. Bye.